Okay, and we are live. Joe, it is really good to see you. I'm usually on the AnaChronic Comics YouTube channel as a part of the comic book crowd. And Joe, I have to ask, did I say it properly?
You did. You did. You said it properly. So you're one up on Reggie on that one, Matt. So thanks for having me on the Matt Woods Comics channel. It's been a dream of mine to be on your channel, going way,
Oh,
way back. I kept saying, Matt Woods channel, I want to be on that. That makes life worth living.
you know, you are the best liar ever, but it put a smile on my face, Joe. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, my friend. You're welcome.
But let's start acknowledging some people here in the chat. And we have Trev, the shipping guru, who put out a great video today. It was Bearded Comics and Cool Comics, some type of a thing that they do. So he put his thing on there. Tina is the OG, and don't let anyone ever tell you different. And who was picking on Reggie? I'm kind of curious.
I was. She's yelling at me.
Oh no, Joe!
Because he can't say AnaChronic Comics.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
But Trev, we didn't say Seth. Vinny, it's good to see Vinny, good buddy there. Vinny always has the best books that he posts on Instagram. Now, I did see Seth11 right here. Oh, don't say nice words about me, Seth. I'm a miser and a grump. But Steve White, Mr. Smooth, okay? Barry White is looking for a voice as smooth as Steve White. Okay, he was on the show last night. And, it was absolutely wonderful talking to him all about comic books and comic book collecting. Great, great guy. So I think we went through all of them, or who's in the chat. There's some AnaChronic Comics guy in here too, I'm sure. But that's it. So anyhow, Joe, I had an idea for a video. I was talking yesterday with Steve, and I was like, you know what? We were talking about what got me into watching YouTube and stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't really tell the story of what got me into making a YouTube channel. And whenever I just started it, and my gosh, my videos are horrible, Joe. Do you remember how bad the quality was at one time?
Well, I watched you because you won that contest and you showed us some of what you're constructing. I actually asked you, if you remember, for the plans, and you sent me the plans, and I said, there's no way I could do this, Matt Woods.
But I see that Paul from Psychedelic Comics is in here. This is a guy from out your way. He's in Jersey, but not far from the great state of New York. And I see Shadows in here. Well, Joe, whenever I was making those early videos, I had no clue what I was doing. I did not intend to start a YouTube channel, but as you said, I won that contest on Reggie Collects, and the Given Gang voted this room as most deserving of a comic book makeover. Well, I got that, but I didn't, it wasn't like Reggie was going to send contractors in this room and upgrade it and make it better. What happened is our company sent comic book frames. They sent subscriptions to Comic Book Price Guide. They sent collector mounts that Reggie uses to hang the comic books behind him. And there were so many cool things, but those really cool frames, I couldn't put just on the old 1950s drywall that was literally a 1/4-inch thick drywall. What makes it drywall that thin? Like
it was probably all that brown stuff, right? The paper turned brown too on the outside.
No, it was brown. That's how it came.
Because
now they don't sell it brown anymore. That's that's how it was sold in the 1950s.
Okay.
Although there was one time in his house history that the roof leaked, and I could tell because there was a water stain on part of the drywall. That roof was fixed many years ago before I moved in, but you could tell, at some point there was a roof leak. And so there was a water stain on the side of the wall there. And this was a storage room. It was a extra room they used for an attic utility. But anyhow, so people wanted to know all about this room and the room makeover and what was going on. And
Right.
they wanted to know what I got from all the companies that sponsored Reggie's home or comic book makeover contest.
Right.
And I was just answering people on Instagram, and emails and stuff. And honestly, I couldn't keep up with it. And actually, speaking of Los, who was one of the finalists, Los, one of these days we got to be on a show together. But Los, who is a really great dude, and he's from Massachusetts, he was one of the finalists on Reggie's comic book home makeover.
Mm.
But so people were asking me questions. Honestly, Pete, Joe, I got tired of telling individual people what was happening, what was going
Right.
on. So I just started making these really bad videos. Spencer, the cameraman, would film me, and I would do a unboxing, and I would show people, and
It was
I
good.
started to enjoy the interaction that I was having
Right.
with people. Tina was always on there. Los was on there. You were on there, and you were always making nice comments. I remember other people like Super Honorable Nephew was always on
Right.
there. Reggie would make comments. I started to enjoy that interaction. So then I started intentionally making low quality videos. When I say that, I was just trying to make a video, but
Right.
they were coming out pretty low quality. And that's kind of how I got started into it. And I'm going to throw this to you because I remember at the time you were talking about doing a channel and you were telling me how what you did for a living. You used to be a teacher, you were an attorney, or you still are an attorney. You never quit doing that, I don't think, but you're a retired attorney. But
Right.
anyhow, so I said, oh, dude, you present for a living. So I was all in support of you starting a YouTube channel, but tell us from your perspective what made you jump and want to do it.
Right. Well, I'll start off with something just personal with respect to this, and that is I've always had a creative bent. All right. I always like to create things. And I meant like, writing stories or doing things like, doing things like that, drawing, you know, um, and that type of stuff. Now, being an attorney and spending all the time that you have to when you're doing that type of work, you had very little time to do this. And then having kids, you know, driving them to basketball games, baseball games, picking them up from cheerleading practice at 10 p.m. You had very little time to do this. So
Yeah.
back about 2.5 years ago, I mean, I had retired, and I was working out, doing different things like that. But you really have to find something that you love, I think, and that can fill up most of your time when you're retired. I was speaking to someone who just retired, another attorney who just retired, I think, about 4 or 5 months ago, and he was like pins and he didn't. I don't know, And I know some of them that just don't retire because they don't know what else they need to do. And I told him, I said, you have to find something that you like and just build on it and work with it. So I had taken some drawing courses and I like that, and I did some things like that. But I don't know if you recall, but it was basically you, Wayne, and Tina that encouraged me. And here's the backstory for this. So, of course, I was going on Reggie's channel, and as you mentioned, I was watching your stuff and a few other things that were there. But I was kind of a novice to this whole thing. And we were in Cape Cod. We have a house in Cape Cod. And I don't do too much of this anymore. But in those days, I was just like eBay, this, that, and all this stuff would come in. And my comic book collection and everything else really was in New York. So I had really no way of, categorizing them or putting them anywhere. So I just kept them in the envelopes or boxes or what have you. And I think I mentioned to you guys, I took a photograph and I mentioned to you guys, look at what I had, like maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 things that are coming through the mail. And I
I remember
jokingly
looking
said,
at it. It
yeah,
looked like the back room of a UPS office.
yeah,
Okay,
it
like
was.
there was a
And
lot of packages there.
right. And I was kind of jokingly saying, oh, maybe I should just start a YouTube channel so I can do all these unboxings. And all you guys kept saying, yeah, do it, do it, do it. And I said, what? I don't know what I'm doing with that. So actually, what I did was I never forget this. I took my phone and I just kind of propped it up against something and just made believe like I did something or other, and it was awful. Remember, if you look at my early videos, they're all awful. It's like, hi, as a matter of fact, I did a joke about it where I had this guy dressed up, Jeremy, and and I was saying, hi guys, and he comes and goes, he goes, yeah, you don't do things the right way. You have to do it the right way, the way I'm telling you to do it, And so I actually made fun of myself because I was so bad, and so I decided, let me give it a shot, and I had the first video where I just said, hey, why am I doing this? And I mentioned I had a lot of comics from when I was a kid that I think would be great to show off. Said I'm buying some comics now, which would be great to talk about, and I mentioned that, and I mentioned you guys in that video because that was really the impetus. And you guys kept on encouraging me to do it. And although I cannot match the great Matt Wood's comics channel, for me, it's been a lot of fun. And the creative part is really the part that I've gotten into. And my channel is focusing more and more on basically 60s and 70s type of stuff because
Yes.
I'm enjoying that. I enjoy finding out about those things, researching them. I use my lawyer researching skills to research this stuff. And from my standpoint, what I do now is I'm looking to just expand some of the stuff in the way I do it. So in the last one I had I used AI to have the two
Yes.
AI voices, argue with each other, and had AI write the argument out. And then I made some changes in it, but I had them write the argument. I put it together with the I mean, to me, and the one I did about the top 10 movies from IMDb, I wrote that out, and I took pieces from the movies, but I had the voices basically alternate and say this stuff. So to me, it's more like I'm having fun doing this stuff, talking about these comic books, showing these comic books out, and and learning more as I go along. So it's been a great trip so far, and I'm just expanding more of what I do and how I do some of this stuff.
You hit on it perfect. You enjoyed just sharing. Okay. And I think at the core, a YouTuber, and listen, I have a small channel, it's not as big as the AnaChronic Comics channel,
Get out of here.
but
It's double my size.
I don't know if that's true, but it truly is sharing. It's interacting. It's a way to communicate with people. And I really enjoy the interaction. There's some amazing people out there. And for the most part, everyone's positive. I've had a handful of trolls that, oh my gosh, I just have a really good time with. We're going back and forth. But those are so rare that, you just kind of blow them off. But it's just such a, fun, positive thing to, hey, people root for you. Like I've been working hard. I'm selling these books and wow, finally got a goal book, and I'm pretending I'm holding up a comic book. I'm sure I have one within reach somewhere. Okay. But, but that is a big part of it. And so, and I was talking about the comic book makeover. As I would make more videos, I wanted to make even more. Like it was kind of one of those things you were motivated to keep going, and I'd come up with new ideas and different ways of talking to people. And for the most part, the vast majority of your videos at the beginning of your channel were filmed videos, just like mine. What made you decide to want to go into the live stream and produce more live streams?
I'm afraid to say this because Tina might be upset with me again.
Uh-oh. You don't want to make Tina mad.
I don't. She'll never be a blue wrench for me if I do that. So
hey, I just want, before we get to this, Joe, I want to,
okay.
I'm a little behind on the chat here. So I want to get by and say some hi to people. So
go ahead.
There's Mellow Dope Comics. Good to see you. Oh, there's more Tina. Now, I know I saw some other names in here.
Well, there was Doug, right?
Doug Braden, is he in here?
Yeah, you just passed them up.
I probably did that on purpose. It's just Doug. Doug needs to start writing out more comic books. I'm mad at
Vinny
him. I want
Whitlock is
more.
here. Vinny Whitlock is here as well. Doug
Vinny's still here.
Bratton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I can't scroll anymore. Something's going on where
That's
I
the end.
normally
You have to
have the
go.
ability to
You have to
scroll
go
up.
up.
Here we go.
You have to go up.
Yep. I know I was doing that, but there's the mighty Doug Bratton. Now I haven't seen your brother Dave in here for a while. He must be busy. But
He's still see.
oh, here's a person. I knew that there was someone else.
Hey,
Gary
Gary
B, the
B.
casual comic guy.
I keep telling him I have to go to Rochester too. I have to go see him. I have to get up there.
Actually,
sometime.
Rochester is a beautiful city. It really is.
I argued cases up there.
It's a small town, but you go right at the end of the Genesee River, right where it feeds into Lake Ontario. Mm-hmm. There's a big pier that goes out into the lake. Right. Spencer and I had a good time just walking it and just sightseeing. But Rochester is a really cool town. So
yeah, I was in the courthouse there.
Let me know.
I was in the courthouse there a number of times, flying up into the airport, taking a cab to the courthouse in Rochester and so forth. So that was a good place to go for argument.
Oh,
Dave got over the flu.
The flu A is going around my area, and I work in a high school, so whenever the bugs are going around, I'm aware of it.
Yeah,
but no, Gary should have been there. You and I were talking about whenever you got to meet Roy Thomas last year, which was such an amazing event because, and a lot of people know this, but Joe wrote letters to Roy Thomas back. What year was that, Joe? Like
I think it was 64 and 65.
Okay. And Roy Thomas never actually got the letters.
No, he got one of them.
He
got one of them. The questionnaire I sent him, he got.
That's right.
I sent him a questionnaire about what comic book do you like, that type of thing. The second one, because I used to get his Alter Ego magazine, and I was very much involved with that. That predates the internet, obviously. So I was very much involved with that, writing to him, Bill Joe White, who had this fanzine called Batmania, which I do want to do a video about at some point in time, And so when I wrote the second time I wrote to him, I forget what I said because I don't know what the letter said, but he had already just left for New York for his job with DC, before he went over to Marvel. Yep. And so he was, and he told us at the dinner that he was actually staying with some other guy. I forget which one he said. One of the other creators there when he was there. But so his mother answered. So his mother wrote beautiful penmanship. So his mother wrote me a night. I mean, it wasn't 2 or 3 words. It was a whole side of a page.
It was a complete letter. It wasn't right. Just a jotted note. It was a letter.
And she said my copy of Alter Ego, which I wish I still had. I just had that one that you hadn't signed for me. But that your copy of Alter Ego. Oh no, I had won the contest. I had won 3rd place in the contest. So I was supposed to get like an original page of JLA artwork, which I did have, but God knows what happened to it. It had Green Lantern and Flash on it. It wasn't the greatest page, but it was would have been great to still have. But anyway, and so she was telling me that she had them and she was going to mail them out to me, and along with my new copy of Alter Ego and that type of thing. So she was basically his secretary doing his work for him. And he was and she said he's on his way to New York, or he's in New York now. He just left, and so forth and so on. So when I showed it to Roy, if you remember, he was like, "That's my mother's handwriting," and so forth. And he was laughing a little bit at the way she signed it at the end. She signed it Mrs. Roy Thomas Sr. and he said, "See the way she signed it that way, over here." And he asked me then if I could make copies of him, which I did, and emailed them to him. So I did.
Yes. So and you CC'd me on those emails, and I appreciate it. I still have them.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Now, what made that so cool for me? And guys, Joe and I, we were having a big, long conversation before the show actually started, but Joe had made reference that, I felt bad because Matt didn't really get to talk to Roy Thomas. I did talk to Roy 100%, but guys, whenever I saw Roy Thomas' eyes light up when he saw his mother's handwriting in a letter to Joe, and they were telling stories about that whole contest, and Roy's remembering things, and Joe's reminding him. I knew that Matt Wood's Conan fanboy needed to take a back seat because I truly believe this was a special moment, not just for Joe, but also for Roy Thomas, because Roy was really, truly like amazed and had a giant, genuine smile on his face as Joe was telling him the story
He
of
did,
what
yeah.
these letters were back and forth. And then
And
Roy
you
could,
and you can watch the video on my channel. It's there, and you can see how little. You know why? Because Matt was a terrific guy. He took my phone and recorded the whole thing, or else we wouldn't have had it. So that was the great part of it. Yeah, yeah,
I felt like I was in the best seat in the house to watch a really genuine, cool, heartfelt story just play out in front of me. So, Joe, that was actually a great moment in my own life. And like
yeah,
we talked about it, there's children being born, there's
yeah.
weddings, there's so many great things in life. I'm not going to put it up there with that, but it was a legit life highlight. I got to meet my favorite comic book writer, creator.
Mm,
And yes, even more than Stan Lee, although I
mhm.
think Stan Lee, his statue stands quite a bit taller. But Roy
Right.
Thomas is in that, small
Sure.
conversation,
Sure.
or short list of people in that conversation. But I got to watch him have a genuine moment. So that was a lot of fun for me, just to see that.
Right.
But and Seth, Seth, I can't argue with that. Okay. In French, les Français, comme ci, comme ça, jamais le prix. But
But
no,
but
it was
wait,
just,
but wait, don't forget one thing though. I
oh,
had I had shown you the letters in an Instagram video that we do, that connection that we had done, a phone call, whatever you call this stuff. And I had done the same thing with Gary B, because to me, I know Gary B loves Roy Thomas as well. And I
yes.
wanted Gary, yeah, thank you, Gary. I wanted Gary to be there, but he had just changed jobs and he couldn't take the time off. But that would have been, I told him, Gary, that would have been so epic if the three of us were there with Roy Thomas. I said, oh my God, that would have been terrific. It just would have been amazing.
One of these days, I'm going to go up to Gary's house and drag him out the door. Okay. And we'll go see Roy Thomas somewhere. Okay.
Makes sense.
He's going
Makes
to be
sense.
somewhere close. So, Gary, don't ever give me your address. I might just break in your door and drag you out of bed by the ankle. Okay. Because I'm definitely not dragging Gary out by the hair. But
So
anyhow,
do you want to get back to the question? Whatever did you ask me or what? You asked me
which
why
question was I
I went
asking?
live. Why I went live as a
Yes. Okay.
yeah.
So why did you decide to quit making? Well, you didn't quit making them, but you made that jump from filmed videos to live streams.
Here's the thing. I mean, I went on Reggie's channel a couple of times, and other people did as well. And there's the whole Gary B and some of the other people there that kind of are part of like that organization that was there, which I got introduced to through Slotted Up 503 many years ago. They always were on each other's channels, and they would talk about things. Some of them would have these shows where they talk about stuff. And I said to myself, on the Reggie side of the coin, because I've been on Gary B's channel and a few others, but on Rob Fat Stacks a couple of times. But I said, on Reggie's side of the coin, we have people with channels, but that doesn't happen. And so that's why I reached out. I reached out to the guys that were on originally, including you, Matt, because you guys were on my 400, which became my 500 sub show. So it was
Yes.
the same five guys. So the same five. So I said, oh, do you guys want to do this? We'll pick a topic, and we do it every week. We do it every month, because
Yeah.
I figured that would be easier to do. And we'll pick a topic and we'll go in and do it. It'd be like a comic book that comes out monthly, And that's why I asked you guys, and everybody said yes, that was great. And that was really the genesis of it. Was we had people going on. Reggie had a lot of knowledge and could talk about things. So why don't we just do something like that ourselves, where once a month we get together, pick a topic or somebody suggests it, and we go ahead and do something like that. It was that simple, really.
The Given Gang on tour is basically what that
Right,
was.
right,
But
right.
and that was actually that was a cool honor being invited to not only your 400 subscriber, which turned into your 500
500.
subscriber.
That was
Um,
crazy.
how what was it, like a week between 400 and 500
Something
subs?
like that. Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like a record, a YouTube record. But no, that was an honor. And the people that were on there, okay, it just you know, really good people that were part of the comic book crowd. Like I said, that was a big honor because I'm like, I look up to all those people, like, whoa, like Alan from Climbing Comics and Wayne, okay, like
It's very
just
smart people, real smart.
absolutely super intelligent people, good people. And so I was like, whoa, I'm in the same like category with these people. So
Mhm.
I like to go on your show, Joe. I'm not going to lie. I like to be the disruptor. I like to
Yeah,
throw
no
signs
kidding.
up, and no, but I do. I like to throw up the signs and just be a goofball on them because
Matt, yeah, but you're smart. You're smart as well. Here's the trick. Now, when I was a lawyer, I went up to the management rank, and became like a senior vice president and stuff like that in the company. Here was the trick to success: be smart, work hard, but have other people around you that are working for you that are smarter than you. And that's what I always tried to do. I tried to get the smartest people around me so that was the way to succeed. And I did the same thing with Comic Book Crowd. And the DC Watch show that we have now, the same thing.
with
I
Dave
didn't
and Pretty Fly,
with
love
Dave and
that
Pretty
show.
Fly. I didn't suggest that show. They suggested it to me. And if you notice, Dave is usually correcting my errors, and Pretty Fly says, Joe. He always goes like that, and then he says, "Here's the thing you didn't think of." I go, "Those two guys know DC. You think I know DC? They know so much."
They,
And so both those shows, I got people that know more than I do about all this stuff, and that's what makes it so good.
I'm going to say this right here to the camera. Dave Bratton and Lenny Pretty Fly, you two are two of the absolute most knowledgeable people about comic books, two of the most genuinely nice human beings. But I am absolutely floored at the intelligence you bring to the DC Watch Show to Joe AnaChronic Comics. Because
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they make the show. Joe, you're just along for the ride.
I
That's
manage
not
it.
true,
I
but
manage it. I manage it.
no,
Right. That's
it's actually it's a very good show. And for a while, I wasn't catching it. It was just on nights that I wasn't
right.
available. But I've been catching the rewinds quite a bit, and I
Yeah.
still have some to catch up on. But it's just such a good show.
Thank
And
you.
I'm not gonna lie to you, Joe. Like my live streaming, I tried to do a live stream, I think 2 years ago, and I live out in the boondocks. Okay, people, like I am not what was a word I used the other day? I'm not a I'm not a hillbilly savage. Please don't get me wrong. Not that I'm saying anybody is that. I'm a normal college educated person, but my house is in the middle of nowhere. If I want to go see my neighbor, I have to get in a car to go drive to see them. Like they are a serious walk away. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I live on the dead end. I live on the back end of a dead end country road. It's a dead end country road. No one needs to be back here. And you can't see my house from that dead end country road because my driveway snakes up over on top of a hill and my house is up on a hill. So my internet service was horrendous. The best I could get was DSL, and it was bad DSL. So I did a live stream a couple years ago and it was just choppy. It just didn't work out. And I'm not going to promote anyone, but Elon Musk put out this SpaceX Starlink stuff, and I ended up picking that up a few weeks ago. I don't know, maybe a month now, and I'm able to do live streams now. Absolutely enjoying it because people are in the chat right now and they're all talking. So Seth and Joe, I guess we're killing it tonight.
Oh, okay.
And Tina, thank you for dropping this link. Guys, please sub up to AnaChronic Comics, although I have a feeling every single person in the chat tonight's already subbed up to AnaChronic Comics. I'm sure a few people rage unsubbed me so far tonight. A couple of them are getting mad. But Joe, we have a project that we
Oh
have
yeah,
been talking about, I think, for 2 years now. Okay.
close. Yeah.
A DC versus Marvel video series, and we're going to do it by decades. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. So people know that I've just completed DC versus Marvel in the 1960s, a battle of the comic book values. And where we got the 10 most valuable comic books and saw how many DC had, how many Marvel had. And starting in 1962 or three, Marvel was just blowing it, out of the water each year. So the reason I even thought of doing that was because Matt and I had been speaking for like a year and a half or two about
Mhm.
doing this not DC versus Marvel, but Marvel versus DC series
Yes.
of I think we planned 6 videos.
Six
First
or
one will be
seven. Yeah.
something
I
like
think
that. First one
six.
will Yeah, first one would be on Matt Wood's channel, next one on mine, and so forth. We had to shelve it because, as Matt said, he really couldn't do live streams, and we were debating at the time whether we should video, can we record them, that type of thing, and we just kind of let it go. But recently, we just brought it back up again and said we need to come up with our plan and put it out. And the idea is, as Matt said, is to go through each one of the ages of comic books. So the first one will be Marvel versus DC in the Golden Age.
Hmm.
Next one will
Oh,
be
that's right.
Silver
I was
Age,
thinking it was
etc.
by decade, but it
No,
was by age. That is
by
correct.
age,
Yes.
yeah. And the good thing about it is what we're planning on doing, and we have to iron out some little things before we actually start to do it. And we're going to do it live, I would think, at this point in time.
Now,
Is
Joe,
we are
you made an image, and I want to share that image right
Okay.
now while you're
Yeah,
talking.
this was just a jokey image that I made about 2 years ago when I proposed this to Matt.
Hey,
And
I have to
Matt.
make a comment. Joe, right here, looks amazing. Good lighting, good color, nice smile. This guy over here is getting ready to sneeze, okay? And he's paisley and sick. So I love the graphic there, Joe.
Well, that's because in the Golden Age, DC is going to beat the hell out of Marvel. So I wanted to see. I
What?
wanted to be. Well, see,
Now,
that's
I
the
don't want
point,
to
right?
preview the show. All I'm going to say is you did have Captain America. You did have Marvel #1. You had Submariner. Let's
That's
not
true.
discount the Marvel books from the day.
That's true. So what we're going to do is we're each going to come up with 5 books that we think fully represents the company, and and argue about who we think wins the age. But our plan is also to have the people that are watching vote for them. So we'll have something either on a community page or something like that, or one of these items where you're going to be able to vote for it, and we'll see how the voting works out. And so we will do it in that fashion, and we'll see how it works down the road. And we'll have a little bit of time in between each one, so you'll vote for the Golden Age, and then we do the Silver Age. We'll say who won, and we'll go ahead and we'll have like a wrap up type of show at the end, and we'll do it that way. Maybe at the end, maybe we'll have some guests on, because we don't
A
all know
wrap
some
up, is that where
Marvel
I
guys and
win?
some DC guys.
Is the
What's that?
wrap up video, is that the one where it shows how I won?
Probably, yeah, probably.
I don't know. DC's got some pretty heavy hitters. But
Well,
look at
Action
this
Figure
guy.
Comedy just got in here.
Yeah, his ears must have been ringing because
Yeah,
you were being talked about there, Mr. David Bratton.
right.
It was all bad. Joe was talking bad about you.
No. Watch the
But
rewind, Dave.
nope, you were being trashed.
But we're pretty excited about this series, and hopefully we'll get it going within the next few weeks or so. We just have to iron out a few different things before we do it. So I think it's going to be great. We'll have this a similar thumbnail, but for the first one, but we'll make sure there's a nicer photograph of Matt Woods on there.
I see how it is, Joe. Actually,
Yeah,
can I just bring that up just like that? Yeah.
yeah.
look at that guy on the left. Okay, he's sneezing, his eyes are closed, and look how good Joe looks. Oh my. But no, I just like joking around. But Joe, I'm really looking forward to finally getting that series going with you.
2 years in the making.
And it better be epic. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. But I think this has been going on for 35 minutes. I think it's about time to bring this video for a close. I didn't want to be on here too long tonight. I just felt it was a good time to come on, talk about what motivated us to start YouTube channels, and then tell people about the project that you and I are working on. But Joe, do you want to tell anyone about what projects you have coming up other than the one we talked about?
Sure. I have an espresso mail call coming up this week, so that'll be on. And more significantly, I think we have in place a DC watch video that was the topic of which was suggested by Dave of Action Figure Comedy, and Lenny of A Pretty Fly is editing it, and we saw the rough draft of it, and it's just great. It's just a great video. I mean, they all are. I think, if I may give ourselves a compliment, but I think we just work together so well. And as I mentioned earlier, Dave and Pretty Fly know so much that it's just great to be on the show with them. So they'll be there. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I am doing, this is kind of a labor of love, but I'm doing something special about Superman. It's taking me some time to put it together because there's a lot of history there. There's a lot going on. And so I'm almost there, but not quite. So that'll probably come out in the next few weeks as well. I think it's really worth watching. I think people will like it. And so that's something that I've been working on. And since I started, just very quickly, when I first was going through this, I was doing like 2-3 videos a week. And I realized that I wasn't doing what I liked, and it was becoming more of a job. So I pushed back to basically one. And that has enabled me to do a lot of these type of videos that I like to do, including this one on Superman that hopefully will be out in the next few weeks.
Well, it sounds like you got a lot going on, Joe. I'm quite impressed. I was noticing myself just having a hard time keep putting out the filmed videos. It was just life was happening, and I had a lot going on, and so I wasn't doing it as much. And I'll keep doing those videos. I have actually quite a few that I have scripted out, ready to just put a camera out in front and just start talking. But I'm just kind of, wait for my life to slow down on the outside of YouTube. But really enjoying the live streams here. And I have a feeling I'm going to keep putting out more. I don't have a schedule yet, and I don't want to be tied down to too many days a week doing it. But I do like doing these just random pop-up live streams. And Joe, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. I really appreciate, having this conversation with you. And if anyone else in the chat wants to start a YouTube channel, like this guy right here with this amazing voice, and there's a lot of other people in here that already do have YouTube channels, and this is a great one. Someday I'd like to get him on here and do a live stream with him. Hear that, Trev? Someday. But, just reach out and, we'll be able to maybe not help you because I'm not an expert, but maybe give pointers or whatever. But Joe, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
Everybody, thank you for spending your evening with us. And you guys have a great evening.
Take care.